Welcome to the World History Key Concept 2.3 whap crash course video. This part of the crash course video will be about trade networks. So first off, we have the Silk Roads. The Silk Roads was a network of interactions between people to trade goods. The merchants did not usually travel the whole path of the Silk Roads, as that was a very dangerous thing to do. The goods usually were passed through many people before they made it to their destination. To make up for the risks of traveling on this road, the merchants attempted to trade high-value goods. Many of these goods had a good value-to-weight ratio so that the merchants could make the most money while not putting too much strain on their traveling vehicles. This meant that they optimized the amount of goods they could carry, which could get them good money. The main goods that were sold on these roads were grain, alcohol, and silk. Goods were not the only thing that were moved on the Silk Roads, though. Diseases and culture were also spread upon these pathways. Oasis towns that were formed along the routes became centers of cultural diffusion as merchants and other people would stop there to rest and trade their experiences. The merchants would also carry the diseases present in their area of the region, which would spread to other people there. As the classical empires such as Rome, Gupta, and Han China grew, so did the Silk Roads. Persia also had the Royal Roads, which was a land trade route that was monitored by the Persian government. Next is the Mediterranean Sea Routes. The Mediterranean Sea Routes was a major trade network that was developed in the Mediterranean Sea for carrying heavier objects. Heavier objects were able to be transported on this trade route because the seafaring vehicles did not require as much manual labor. The main goods traded on these routes were wine, olive oil, grains, timber, marble, glass, silver, etc. These trade routes were initially used by people who had a close proximity to the sea, which were the Phoenicians. However, they were conquered by the Persians, who took great advantage of the sea trade routes. The Greeks took control of this trade route as Phoenician influence died out in the area. Greek cities then developed along the coast of this body of water in order to increase trade. This allowed them to obtain more resources to feed their people. The items that were usually traded on this route stayed the same, but Greek culture diffused even more rapidly as they used this trade route. Trade in this route reached a high at the time when Carthage fell to Rome, and the entire rim of the Mediterranean Sea was ruled by Rome. Rome provided protection and a legal system to this trade route, which helped stimulate trade even more. Similarly to the Greeks before them, the Romans needed huge amounts of grain to feed their people and luxuries such as silk to appease the upper class. In return, the Romans exported copper, tin, glass, wine, and oil. Next, we have the Indian Ocean trade routes. This trade route was about the same as the Mediterranean, except that it was in the Indian Ocean. The main goods were spices, cotton, and dye. However, there is a unique feature about this trade route, and that is its weather. The merchants would predict the monsoon seasons and the winds during that time, which meant that they could plan the time that they would go on the route. During the post-classical period, the Indian Ocean was the dominant trade route, and it also experienced many changes. The volume of goods and the amount of people participating in this trade route increased, most likely due to the fact that the Islamic Empire used this trade route. The last trade route that we have is the Trans-Saharan trade route. This trade route gained importance in the post-classical period, which is around the years 600 to 1450. Islam was the biggest reason why this trade route blew up in popularity. However, this trade route was still active before this period. During the classical age, merchants used camels to transport their goods and many items that were exchanged between Egypt to Nubia in previous periods, which continued across the Sahara. A very important commodity traded along this route was salt, which was needed to preserve foods because refrigeration was not yet invented. So new technologies that facilitated long-distance communication and exchange. Land trade increased when people learned how to use the power that animals had. The camel, which was domesticated in the Middle East to help with incense trade. Camels could carry about 50% more cargo than other animals, they required less water to live, and they usually lasted for a longer time compared to other animals. In Central Asia, nomads domesticated horse for the silk trade. Horses were very fast, and the development of the stirrup, which is a strap that holds the feet of the rider, helped people master horse riding. With new technologies such as the saddle and stirrup, humans were able to increase their ability to trade and communicate. Technological advances also helped stimulate maritime trade. In the Indian Ocean, merchants recognized the monsoon seasons and adapted their voyages to better utilize the wind. The dhow, which was a slender boat with a lateen sail, also helped maritime traders. The dhow was used to ship heavy items, and the key characteristic of this boat was the lateen sail, which helped sailors tack against the wind. This wraps it up for the 2.3 key concept crash course video. Hope you have a nice day and thanks for watching.